following presentation is West Chicago School District 33's 2015-16 Illinois School Report Card information and PARCC Assessment Data Review. The information from the state school report card is right out of the Illinois Interactive Report Card System, which you can find online. This first slide shows an overview of our student population. One of the things to highlight is the percentage of low-income students listed here on the state report card. It is showing that 44% of our student population is deemed low income according to these state requirements. This is a percentage that is inaccurate and out of line with what our statistics are showing. It is something that is currently being reviewed by the state, as their number calculations are not accurately reflecting our community's low-income population. To give an example, last year our population numbers were 69%. You can see that due to the miscalculation, this year is showing up as 44%. That is inaccurate. This gives a breakdown of our racial population for students over the last 4 to 5 years. Here you see some of the other pieces related to our district environment: pure pupil spending, overall district finances, class sizes, school days, and health and wellness statistics. Here you see a breakdown of some of our teacher information. Again, overall 277 teachers, 64% with a master's degree or higher, and an 18-to-1 pupil to student ratio. One of the things to point out in this report card information is the difference between the two far bars shown on each one of these areas. The lighter green shows our school district, West Chicago 33, and the darker green shows the state average. Here you see a breakdown further of our teacher demographics, both by race and ethnicity, as well as gender. Here you see some background information on the administration in West Chicago School District as compared to the state. As we proceed in the presentation, here are some key points to consider. The PARCC assessment was designed to measure student learning based on the Common Core state standards. Results from this PARCC assessment cannot be compared to the results of previous state assessments, such as the ISAT or PSAE, due to the fact that this assessment is more rigorous, is based on the Common Core curriculum, and students have never experienced this type of assessment before. PARCC differs from previous state assessments in that it was designed to measure student growth, not only achievement. Some factors to consider when looking at data, assessment data, is the difference in the reality of achievement and attainment data and growth data. When looking at achievement or attainment data, it's important to remember that this measures students' performance at a single point in time. There is a strong correlation to students' family backgrounds and demographics. This compares students' performance to a standard, and this is critical to students' post-secondary opportunities. When looking at growth, it's important to remember that this measures students' growth between 2 points in time. Growth is not contingent or related on family backgrounds or demographics. Growth compares students' performance to their own prior performance, and growth is critical to ensuring students' future academic success. It is important to remember that both of these help provide a more complete picture of student learning. Here is an illustration of what achievement or proficiency or attainment assessments look like. You see that the proficiency level is one standard place, and that at that point in a time when assessed, students are either at, below, or above proficiency. Compared to growth, you see that there is 2 points in time in which assessment is used. In this case, the start of the school year, where you see some students are below proficiency and some above proficiency. And then you have a change over time, and in this case, the end of the school year, in which once again some students have changed to below proficiency, at proficiency, or above proficiency. And here we're looking at the change over time. Here are 2 scenarios to help illustrate achievement versus growth. The first scenario, a 5th grade student begins the year reading at a 1st grade level. They end the school year reading at a 4th grade level. If we were looking at achievement or proficiency, we would say that no, this child is not proficient because of the fact that they are below the 5th grade level. However, when looking at growth, we see that the child did grow from reading at the 1st grade level to reading to the 4th grade level. The second scenario, a 5th grade student begins the year reading at a 7th grade reading level and ends the year reading at the 7th grade reading level. When looking at proficiency or achievement, they are definitely proficient because of the fact of being 2 grade levels above where they should be. However, when looking at growth, we see that they started the year at the 7th grade level and ended the year at the 7th grade level. Therefore, there has been no growth. Both of these scenarios are important in terms of illustrating the difference between the 2 types of assessments and also illustrate the importance of having balanced assessments when it looks at both achievement, attainment, and growth. The PARCC assessment uses 5 performance levels that delineate the knowledge, skills, and practices students are able to demonstrate. Those 5 levels are illustrated below. From left to right, you see Level 1 did not meet expectations, Level 2 partially met expectations, Level 3 approached expectations, and Level 4 met expectations, Level 5 exceeded expectations. These 2 top performance levels, 4 and 5, indicate a strong student grasp of grade level standards and readiness for the next step in students' educational development. In addition, the top 2 performance levels indicate that students are also on track for what is deemed college and career readiness. This table illustrates a comparison of West Chicago School District 33 against both the state as well as other comparative districts, either regionally or because of their similar makeup to our school district. These same comparative school districts will be used when looking at some of the data ahead. Here is the first graph in which you see the PARCC assessment scores for English language arts. Our school district as a whole is listed on the far left, next to the state, and then comparative districts. In this graph, for the last year's PARCC assessment, you will see that 20% of our students met or exceeded proficiency when it came to English language arts. This compares to the state average of 36%. It is important to remember when looking at this assessment data that because of our student population and demographics and the way our programming is, this assessment is in English, while many of our students are instructed in Spanish at the early grade levels due to our dual language programming. To give it some more context, the following table illustrates those students who exited from the category of limited English proficiency, which is a state-defined label for our students. You can see that over the last 3 years, the percentage of students who we've exited from this label went from 8% to 14%. We have also chosen to highlight the 3 grade levels that are seen as hinges or linchpins for successful dual language programming. Essentially, what you will see when you look at the upcoming data is when our LEP data is reported, that our numbers are not very positive. However, it is important to remember that because of the success of exiting these students from this category, those students who are some of the most hardworking and ambitious working students leave that category and enter the general education population. Hence why that number does not show positive results. Here you see the first breakdown of our school district from 2015 to 2016. Reading from left to right, you will see that the second bar in each one of these illustrations shows our most recent data. This most recent data is also highlighted by bold lines around the bars. We have chosen to highlight those areas where we have seen growth. So from 2015 to 2016, as a school district, we have seen that our percentage of students who are proficient when it comes to English language arts went from 18% to 20% overall. And then you see the next two categories, IEP students and LEP students. Those students who have an IEP or Individualized Education Plan are also known as students in special education services. And those, once again, who are deemed LEP or Limited English Proficient are seen in the next two sets of data. Here you start to see a breakdown of all the different grade levels for English language arts. Reading from left to right is 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Comparisons from 2015 to 2016. Here we've highlighted grade 4, and specifically the rise in proficiency from 14% to 17%. Carrying through the grade levels up through the middle school, we see 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Again, comparisons from 2015 to 2016. Here, once again, we've highlighted some significant growth, specifically here in 8th grade English language arts, from 27% proficiency to 37% proficient. We now look at a breakdown per school in the different grade levels. Here, we see 3rd grade English language arts compared across all 6 elementary schools. We are highlighting the 14% proficiency at Gary Elementary School. And here you see 4th grade English language arts. And two standouts here are both Wagner Elementary and Pioneer Elementary. Wagner with 27% proficient in 4th grade English language arts, and Pioneer with 19% proficient in English language arts. Continuing on to 5th grade, we see both Wagner and Turner standing out when it comes to English language arts proficiency. Wagner with 21% proficient, and Turner with 33%. Now we start to look at mathematics as a subject area. Once again, we start to see the picture as a school district from left to right from 2015 to 2016. And then looking at the two sets of data when it comes to students who are deemed Limited English Proficient and those who have an Individualized Education Plan. Once again, the top two bars in green indicate overall proficiency in mathematics. Here you see once again the same comparative districts and the state averages when it comes to mathematics. From left to right, you see that our school district is first, West Chicago School District 33, against the state average, and then the following comparative districts. West Chicago School District 33 had 15% of its student population proficient in mathematics, while the state average was 31%. Now we start to see a breakdown per grade level for mathematics. The area that we've chosen to highlight here is 5th grade, going from 2015 13% proficient to 2016 16% proficient. Carrying on up through the middle school, we see the 8th grade improvement going from 22% proficient in mathematics to this past year 24% proficient in mathematics. Now we see a breakdown at each grade level at each elementary school. We've highlighted Indian Knoll and Gary for 3rd grade mathematics, specifically Indian Knoll with 19% proficient in mathematics and Gary with 22% proficient in mathematics. Carrying on the 4th grade, we've chosen to highlight Wegner and Turner. Wegner with 29% proficient and Turner with 21% proficient. Looking at 5th grade, we see both Turner and Gary as standouts. Turner with 30% proficient and Gary with 21% proficient. In terms of next steps, we as a district will continue to analyze the results for our schools and grade levels to determine where improvements can be made to curriculum or instruction. In reviewing the data, we will look at those schools who have seen great success and try to replicate any instructional practices that are going on or occurring in those schools. We'll also be preparing students and our staff for this year's PARCC assessments. Students in grades 3 through 8 will take the one assessment in language arts and mathematics beginning in March of 2017. In addition, students in grades 5 and 8 will take the Illinois Science Assessment during the same time period. Once again, it is important to remember that when looking at achievement or attainment data, demographics plays a big role in that data. That is something that we will consider as we continue to analyze through our data. For more information, these following websites help give you an example as well as some interpretation of what the different assessments we use and the state reports on are. For more information from the school district, please feel free to contact the Department for Learning. Thank you.